Hello and welcome to Health Matters. I'm Skip Lee, your host, the coordinator of Health, Physical Education, and Dance here in Anne Arundel County, and a golf advocate. And we're really excited that you joined us today because we're going to be talking about golf here on the show and talking about some of the things we need to be careful about as we get into the golf season and making sure it's a pleasurable and worthwhile experience. To give us light in that topic, we're going to ask Dr. Alan Sokoloff of the Yalix Clinic to share his wisdom and his experiences around this subject. Dr. Sokoloff, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you coming in. And you know, it's that time of year now where folks are out and they're being busy, and one of the really desirable activities that people focus on is the game of golf. It is really a wholesome activity, isn't it?
It is, and actually the numbers are growing, not just for men, but in particularly for women. The number of women golfers has grown substantially over the last couple of years.
So my background is a coaching background, and I know how to bring athletes from point A to point B. I don't really play golf well. It's a recreational activity. I go out with my friends and hit the little white ball around. But a person who's just beginning, thinking that this is a good activity that they might want to start, you don't just go from the sporting goods store where you buy the clubs and head out to the first tee. There's a couple of things you really need to be taking consideration, right?
There's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration, but let me too, since you gave your true coaching confession, I'm not a golfer.
Okay.
However, just like we've talked about, there are very good high-performance cars that are out there, and they require very good high-performance mechanics. They might not be able to drive the car well, but they know a lot about them and how to take care of them.
Sure.
I'm kind of that high-end mechanic
Okay.
that I can get under the hood. I can fix the problem, but if you ask me to step out on a course and see how far I could drive the ball,
Not going there.
no. Well, so I'm taking it from the mechanic side, from the stuff that we see every single day of what people do and have done to either injure themselves or better themselves while playing golf.
Well, would you agree that it is a great activity for perpetuating that lifetime sport, that lifetime activity pursuit?
Yes, it is. And that's why golf is played by people of all ages. I have patients in my office that I've not seen more kids playing golf now than ever before. And
Good.
again, I think that's another area where the numbers are really increasing. But you were right, there are things that people need to do before they consider taking on golf and playing golf. And there are a couple of little tips that can help them, especially if you're transitioning from a season where you're not doing anything and now all of a sudden you're out on a golf course.
Well, let's kind of think about this as a recipe. I have an idea or desire. I want to start this game of golf. I see it on TV. You know, I have friends that have played it. I've been invited. I don't know much about it. So I get the recipe out and I see all the ingredients that I need. What do you need to be a golfer? What's it take?
I think a simple place to start is working with someone who's knowledgeable about golf. That's not me when it comes to the golf side. So doing things like hiring a professional, but someone that you know works well with your skill level. Learning some of the basics of the mechanics of golf is just where you need to start.
Sure.
The swing. We'll discuss later, but one of the biggest areas where people hurt themselves is the follow-through, not so much the actual swing. There's certain phases, knowing your foot position. And then the right clubs. Are they the right height? You know, we're used to getting that little putter at, miniature golf and
Right.
one size fits all, but it's not like that anymore. So having the right clubs, having the right instruction can mean all the difference in the world for the new golfer. But that also holds true for the person that just periodically goes like you or I.
So those pieces that you mentioned, they're also going to be the difference between thinking that this is an activity that you'd like to pursue for a lifetime, or that was a fad, that was fun, this is done, I'm going to put my clubs on eBay and that I'm done with that.
And one of the greatest deterrents from any activity is pain. If it hurts, you're not going to do it. If it causes discomfort, you're not going to do it. So if you have the ability to physically play golf and you have the time to learn how to play and you have the proper equipment, it can be an activity that you do forever and ever.
So let's talk about it. Step one, I have a desire. We talked about getting proper instructions. What should I do prior to ever even picking up the club? What are some of the things I need to consider?
Well, there are a couple things. Golf is very much like a lot of other sports. It's very unilateral. You do a lot of things the same way over and over and over again. So number one, if you have an injury or a nagging problem, you need to take care of it. You want to start with a fresh slate, because if you have a certain knee condition and now you start golfing, you can start to re-aggravate that knee. So if you have any aches or pains that are currently going on and that are reoccurring, take care of those. Start with a fresh, healthy slate. Then you need to start golf conditioning.
Oh, interesting term.
And,
okay.
and golf conditioning is very different than any other sport. A lot of people think golf and swinging a club comes from your arms and arm strength and arm speed. But golf is very core related and tends to get ignored. Golf is very leg related and tends to get ignored. So having a good basic fitness level prior to getting involved with golf can be very important, whether it's things you do at home, whether it's things you do in a gym. You have to have some sort of baseline foundation of conditioning.
Okay.
Golf is also about balance and coordination. So incorporating things on your own. I love the Bosu ball and the exercise balls, but incorporating things like that into a daily or exercise routine can help with that component of golf as well.
And it's going to, by taking those precautions to begin with, you're not only acknowledging a shoulder injury that would be exacerbated by doing golf, but by being in that good condition, you're going to have a much more pleasurable experience once you do begin.
Exactly. And you talk about shoulders too. People talk, well, I don't have time to get to the gym. I don't want to buy all this fancy equipment. Exercise balls are $10 or $20. You can get surgical tubing or bands that are $5 or $10. So there's no cost on the conditioning side, but they get you cost-wise on the golf side.
The greens fees, that's for another story.
Right.
So I've taken the time that you've talked about. I believe that I'm in okay physical condition, whether it's a running program or lifting, and I feel good about it. And now I want to start with that instructional piece, that going from zero to first gear. What are some of the things that a golf instructor would have me do just to make sure that I am doing things correctly, and in the event that maybe some of our viewing audience doesn't have access to an instructor, what are some of the things that they should be aware of about themselves?
Sure. The mechanics of the swing is probably the most important thing. If you turn on the TV now, you'll hear a lot of professional golfers that are actually missing certain parts of the tour because of back injuries.
Sure.
And most of the stroke mechanics that an instructor will teach you have to do with preventing back injuries if they're done properly.
Oh, okay.
But because golf is an overuse type sport, you have to train that way. Even if you're an avid golfer and you play all the time, but you took a little time off because of the weather,
Sure.
you need to still be swinging a club. We encourage our patients that are hardcore golfers to, throughout the off season, you start, if you haven't played in a while, you go out, you hit a small bucket of balls. Done. Come back the next time.
Just
done.
Don't push it.
Come back the next time. Large bucket of balls. Done. Come back and you slowly grow. Just like with exercise, you slowly grow. Keys there being warming up your body before you start swinging at that little white ball. Keys there are stretching or cooling down your body after you hit that little white ball.
Now, it's been since the fall since I've been to a driving range, but I do see people literally going from the back of their cars, pulling the clubs out, buying the balls, walking up, and that's all they do. There's no conditioning, there's no flexibility or stretching prior to that.
And I would love to leave my business card in each one of those stalls, because those people are not starting correctly. Those people are not stopping if something hurts, because if there's 4 more balls left in that little bucket, they're going to take the time to get in there and whack those. I don't care how much paid. I paid for every one of those balls. I'm going to take my swing at those balls. But there are things you could do at a driving range. This is kind of a little recipe, and we teach this not just at the driving range, but if you are an avid golfer, a high-end golfer,
Okay.
here's a couple of things you could do to help. Number one, when you get to the driving range, when you get to the golf club, park as far away as possible. Get out of your car and you walk to the clubhouse. And when you walk, you move your arms, you move your legs, change your stride. You want to get blood flowing to all the different muscle groups that you're going to now use
Good point.
to golf. Now you get in, you sign in, you walk all the way back to your car again, move your arms. Everyone tries to get that parking spot right up front so it's not a far walk. So walk all the way back. Now your body's starting to get nice and warm. And a good gauge, if you get that first bead of sweat, we know your core is starting to get warmer and more ready to function. Here's number one place where people drop the ball is getting their clubs out of the car. Not thinking you reach in, you twist, you pull, you do all these things mechanically that you've worked on your golf swing all off season and you hurt yourself getting your clubs out of the car.
Sure.
So thinking about taking them out and lifting properly, bending properly to get the clubs out is real important. Okay, so now you got your clubs and now you're back to the clubhouse. So you've walked back and forth a few times.
Sure.
Core temperature's starting to go up. Now your body's starting to get warm, almost ready to go. Now you step out on the course. What do you see? People aren't doing all that I just said, but what do you see if you go to a golf course or you go to the driving range? What do most people do?
They put the golf club on
Right.
the back of their head and they do the turn twisty thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So if
All the time.
if your body is not warm, it is not going to turn twisty properly, especially in the morning hours. And for the morning golfers that are out there, they need to take extra careful because when you're sleeping, the little discs in between your vertebrae, they start to get more plump. They rehydrate.
Okay.
And if you start bending and twisting on those things early in the morning, you can really hurt yourself unless your body is warmed up. So we took a little time to warm up. You can do some static, light stretching
Okay.
and then develop into more dynamic type of stretching and different movement patterns if your body's warmed up and ready to go.
So it really sounds to me like this is not really a golf warm-up, but a traditional warm-up for any physical activity. You want to increase the body temperature. You want to increase your flexibility gradually, not going from a frozen rubber band all the way to stretchy. And then you want to make sure you gradually get into the activity, engage with the activity, not from 0 to 60. You want to really try to make sure you take your time.
And you said it exactly. So what can a golfer do? They can, once their body's all warm and they're ready to go, just go through different phases of their swing until they develop the full swing with the full follow-through and step up and it's golf time.
But Dr. Sock, that first tee, there's 25 people waiting for me to tee off. I know I want to, 300 yards on my first drive. How important is hitting a bucket of ball before you even start a round?
That would be ideal, but like you said, people don't always have that opportunity. But if you do and have a chance, and you don't even have to hit a full bucket, but be able to hit with the different clubs because you're going to be swinging at different speeds and different angles and different follow-throughs, it would be great if you have that chance.